Thank you, Madam Speaker. All right, this has been a lot of confusion around this. Why I got a little better idea of why this was included on the call from the governor last night. I appreciate that. That was the first indication I had why we were discussing the artificial intelligence, and I think the need for this discussion longer than 5 days coming here and bringing it up when we're talking about something of such import is probably really important. It's probably very important. So what we have, and what I thought of with this is it goes back to a bill that we talked about a couple years ago, 23-200. And that was the bill that expanded the use of automatic vehicle identification system, traffic cameras, for enforcing traffic laws like speeding, red light violations, and it specifically created the methodology for, hey Rose. It specifically created the methodology for selling that data. And now afterwards, now we're seeing these data centers that are popping up everywhere like some sort of dystopian fungus that are there. They're going to be pulling our energy. They're going to be pulling our water. And they're going to be sapping our rights. And so this is a very important bill, but it's one that should be probably discussed with everybody in the room so that everybody knows what's going on, not in some back room, not in a series of back rooms where we hear about turf wars between legislators of whose bill is going to go through, and then to be dumped on us for a handful of nuggets about the artificial intelligence when we need to deal with this with real intelligence. And there's a lot at stake. And for those of us who appreciate civil liberties and the threat that this does, I think that we need to be looking at collecting, storing, analyzing information about the political, religious, social views, associations, or activities of persons without a warrant. These things need to be stopped. We can't just as a state say, hey, we're going to allow this to happen, and we're just going to, maybe we won't do it, but we'll buy the data from somebody else. So we need to block that sort of thing. We need to be worried about conducting warrantless surveillance or profiling of a person related to weapons activity. We need to be because the AI cameras, I mean, not only can they monitor you on every street corner in the country or in the state now, but they could put you on those street corners. That would get back to the deep fakes, obtaining, storing, or using data collected by private sector artificial intelligence systems concerning weapons activities when the data would be unlawful for a government agency to collect directly. So I think those are things that we need to put in here and we need to address before we just kick this can down the road, because that is one of our most significant civil liberties, because that protects all the other civil liberties as we move towards this totalitopia, this dystopian totalitopia. So with that, I request permission to move L041 to SB 004.
Thank you, Representative DeGraaf. That is a proper motion. Members, the motion before the body is permission to run a third reading amendment on Senate Bill 004. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Bottoms and Story. Story is excused. Please close the machine. With 21 aye, 40 no, 3 excused, and 1 vacancy, permission is denied. To the bill, Representative DeGraaf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All right, that's unfortunate because we're looking at preserving our civil liberties. And basically everything I said would have been in that amendment to preserve our Second Amendment rights for the citizens of Colorado. Other things that I'm concerned with that I don't think are addressed appropriately in this bill and should be. And we could have had this discussion last night if it, my bad. The way this was dropped on us last night at the last minute. This entire session has not been about fostering communication or information. But it's troubling me, the processing or screening or making determinations related to weapons purchase background, that's all going to be raked, scraped in artificial intelligence, creating, maintaining, and for the government, for our state to be processing that, to use that, to violate the civil rights of citizens, creating, maintaining, or analyzing any registry or record of weapons, weapon serial numbers. Because now, no surprise, putting everything onto a receipt to make sure that anything that you've done is flagged according to where you bought it and what you bought. Now, it used to be out there in just a database that somebody could find. Now it's in a database that the artificial intelligence will find. Now, that's no surprise. I mean, that's what the intent of those bills was for. So linking weapons-related database with other personal data sets for the purpose of monitoring and regulating lawful weapons ownership. We have all these databases that are going to start. And when you look at a word like Palantir, the ominous nature of a word like that, a violation of this section should constitute an unfair or deceptive trade practice under section 6-101-5. So I think those should be things that we bring into the legislation right now. It would have been nice to have this discussion before. But with that, I ask permission for a third reading amendment.
Members, the motion before us is to grant permission for a third reading amendment to Senate Bill 4. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
Should be one more.
Please close the machine. With 22 aye, 40 no, 2 excused, and 1 vacancy, permission is denied. Representative DeGraaf, back to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We're not batting real high for civil rights because all of those are along the lines of other civil rights as well. So I'm also concerned about algorithmic decision systems or other artificial intelligence system that shall be, and they should not be designed, developed, or deployed to utilize by the state. We can't stop them in the terms of private a political subdivision of the state or a contractor acting on behalf of the state. We can't just be doing these things and putting them into motion and hiding behind somebody else. When I was doing some stuff, I remember when I was doing some videos for aviation training and wanted to use satellite photos, I had to get the permission of anybody that would be in that satellite photo. Not just if they would be, but permission if their property would be in that satellite photo in order to be able to use it for training videos. Couldn't see anything, but now we have our government hiding behind this contractor thing and then saying, oh, well, it's okay if we violate your civil rights because AI did it. So what we should be looking at is collecting, storing, or analyzing information about the political. We should not be allowing this or social views. We've seen this in recent times where this data was put together by rogue elements of the alphabet soup and persecuted people outright. But we should not be running AI data systems to compile behavioral lists on the citizens, associations, activities of any individual group without a warrant. This should require a warrant. Not just a division of future crime that can make these decisions by themselves. Conducting warrantless surveillance or profiling individuals related to really weapons activity or any other activity. We should not be this artificial intelligence, I think, before we go and we start doing these things. Not just kick the can down the road, but these are things that should be added into the bill now so we don't have a surveillance state that is designed to violate your Second Amendment. Conducting warrantless surveillance or profiling the individuals related to weapons activity or any other activity, obtaining, storing, or using the data collected by private sector artificial intelligence systems concerning weapons activity, and then when such data would be unlawful. We're not asking for just in general, but if it would be unlawful for the government agency to access directly without a warrant, this should not be something that is just done casually.
Representative DeGraaf, you do have 55 seconds remaining.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And then we would want to make this violation something under an unfair or deceptive trade practice because, like the bill sponsors want, or we heard last night, there should be some level of accountability for these organizations because with great power comes great responsibility. So I'm disappointed, but I think we have the ability to address these issues. And we should address these issues, so Madam Speaker, I request permission to run a third reading amendment to cover the things that I just read.
Members, the motion before us is a request for permission to run a third reading amendment on Senate Bill 4. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Representative Zokai is excused. Please close the machine. With 24 aye, 37 no, 3 excused, and 1 vacancy, permission is denied. Representative DeGraaf, back to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sure I only have about 30 seconds left, so with that, I can just say I'm disappointed with the frivolity that this General Assembly would take the civil rights specifically of the Second Amendment. So with that, I'm a no.